Hi, it's Xavier. In today's Think Ahead episode, we're covering December and January. So what are we going to be looking at? First, cold winter protection. Myth or reality? Other things, cleaning pots, fertiliser, all that sort of lovely fun stuff that we like to do when it's freezing cold and chucking it down with rain. Perhaps we need to look at the wire on our trees. We may also need to look at what sort of stuff we need to buy in 2024. Check whether or not our tabletops are falling apart. Find out if there's any trees that I've actually forgotten to do with this year, and also have a think about YouTube next year. Anyway, if you want to see that more in detail, hang around, watch me get wet, cold and miserable, but you need to join me for this essential task for December and January. Welcome to my winter bonsai retreat. As you can guess from this clothing, it's a bit cold. In fact, we're about to go into a week's worth of minus temperatures, going down to -4, -5. But do I really need to panic? So the first of the things we're going to talk about is winter protection, and I'm going to go more into that into another video in a bit of an expose. Top 5 things I hate about bonsai and YouTube. But more of that later. Yeah, winter protection's a reality, and there are some of our UK trees that generally we have to be careful of. And I've gone from extremes. I've gone from having absolutely everything in here to nothing in here. But the key thing you need to do is to check your particular variety and have a look and see what its winter cold hardiness is. And in particular, check what its wind chill issue is, because that is often the problem. Not actually the fact that the roots froze up. Froozed up? My roots froozed. No, but more a case of many of them, if the roots are frozen, that's fine. But if you then accompany it with a chill wind that freezes the tips of branches, then you'll get the branch dieback as a result of the damage it's caused. But, he says, exclaiming loudly, the main thing to be aware of is that there's only a few that actually I need to put in a cold frame. I will always put Mame stuff, small pot, whether it be the Japanese maples, Chinese elms, whatever. If it's in a small pot, to be fair, I'll bring it in here, I'll have it near the door, I can keep an eye on it, and I've just done that as a matter of course. Equally, I have actually left them just on the ground outside, and they've been fine too. Just because it's in a small pot, it doesn't mean a difference. You know, something can equally freeze solid in a small pot as it does in a big pot. So if you don't, it's not a problem, but that's what I do. The sort of ones that I do watch out for are your azaleas. So any of the azaleas, Satsukis and that, they come in. They really don't like it when it starts heading towards freezing. And again, particularly they don't like the soil getting all wet and soggy as well. So if you're getting loads of rain combined with all that, generally not a great thing for the azaleas, I've found. Olives, I'll bring the olives in, not because they're not frost hardy, because generally I think they go down to, you know, up to -15 C, but they really hate waterlogged soil. And where we are in good old Grantham in the UK, we get loads of rain. Combine that with lots of wind, we get high wind in Lincoln, then all of those combined together can make for a pretty torrid time for olive. So the olives will also get the winter protection. And if you notice on my green frame, on my cold frame, I've actually got insulating bubble wrap as well. First time I'm trying it this year. And then the other thing I'll watch out for is stuff like this. I've got a hornbeam here that the air layer didn't fully take, so I'm trying it again through the winter. I'm just a little bit wary about having it out in the rain, cold, chill and all those factors. I'd rather that doesn't get too adversely affected. It may be that someone out there will say, yeah, no, it'll be fine, leave it outside, it'll be fine. For me, this is something that I consider a bit more vulnerable. I'd like to have it somewhere where I can keep an eye on it and watch. So this will come in simply because it's got the air layer. I think again with a lot of these things you've got to take it with a dose of common sense and make sure you know what your local environment's like. So box is something, if it's certainly in it's a Mame, I'll bring it in. And maples, they're actually really, really hardy. But again, the thing you're looking at is if you've got a very, very ramified tree with lots of twigging, it's going to be that winter frost chill, the wind, that's going to cause you a bigger problem. If your soil is good, then you're not going to get waterlogging or anything like that. So again, you've got a tree that's in soil that you know is pretty claggy or not free draining, then just be aware you've got a higher risk of root rot if you leave it outside in the rains. If that's combined with freezing, that doesn't make for the best or ideal overwintering conditions. Equally, your Chinese elm, strangely enough, they're probably one of the most frost hardy of the species we've got in the UK, and reportedly go down to sort of -20 Fahrenheit. So they can go to really, really hard, cold weathers, and certainly if they're protected with a bit of hessian over the top or stuff like that, or kept down low, they'll be fine. I've had a mixed bag with my Chinese elms, and many of you know that a lot of Chinese elms got lost as a result of whether it be summer, winter, is what people have said. Personally, I think it's down to the fact that I didn't repot these regularly enough. They are quite a vigorous root grower, and they are not happy if they get roots full in the pot. So I'm precaution with the Chinese elm, and I bring them into the cold frame. Just me. I know equally loads of people leave them out, and in fact I've left these out many years and they've been fine. I think it relates more to what your repot cycle's been like rather than its cold hardiness. However, there is one Chinese elm that I do bring in. Now, this Chinese elm definitely comes in highly ramified, very twiggy structure, and definitely susceptible to the freezing winds through the winter. Although the soil's great, got repotted, it's very free draining. Not worried about the roots down below. I'm worried about the twiggy branches up the top, and I don't want dieback if I can avoid it. So these definitely come in here, and I've only got a couple of these. And I say that's really reiterating what I'm saying about a highly ramified maple or a highly ramified trident, where you don't want to lose that ramification with the dieback. So these come in. As for the rest of the stuff, well, I bring it down. I've got high fence here, got protection on this side. They're actually on a bed of bark, and yeah, I've got Chinese elms out here. I bunch them all up, budding them up together, very protected. I've got overhanging trees so they don't get overly swamped with rain, and they'll spend quite happily the winter all the way packed all the way down here, and I won't even need to look at them. He says noticing one hornbeam, which I know has got very few roots, and would just like to keep it protected a bit. When you're doing your general walking around your garden, have a look for any of your trees you've got wire on. If you haven't already cleared this up through the autumn, this is definitely your last opportunity before you're even going to want to have any desire to go outside. Got a number of ginkgo that have got some wire on them, and it's just worth checking to see whether or not we're getting to the point where they've probably put on as much sort of extra growth as they're going to. I've got the option of taking the wire off, or in fact leaving it, and looking at this, no sign of biting in at all, and I'll leave this on through the winter. Ginkgo is another one that generally is pretty cold hardy, but can be susceptible to the wind. So again, it's another one that on occasion I have kept inside. Depending on how the space is, these may come inside as well. And one of the other things that has to happen this stage is establishing what you're going to be doing in 2024. So we're hitting the repots, aren't we? So I will go around and I'll be looking to see whether I'm going to be looking to potting stuff up into bonsai pots, or indeed whether I'm going to be taking stuff up and do I need more pond baskets. Now, many of you might have picked up that I started going over to pond baskets for my maples. Well, indeed, next year I'm going to be putting a lot more stuff that I've got at the moment in marmite pots into pond baskets. So I'll do a count around and see which ones that may well include. As you see here, you know, these have been in pond baskets, and yeah, actually I thought the whole idea was that the roots were supposed to die off when they got to the end, but these have managed to magically keep going. So yeah, I'll be doing this to a lot more, so I need to count up how many pond baskets I need and what sizes. This is also the ideal time to check your display benches, making sure that they're going to be fit and suitable for next year. I think this one is definitely had enough. It's definitely toast, and there'll be a video all about my plans for next year's benches for the bonsai retreat. Got loads planned, But yeah, so if you've got any that are rotting or anything like that, best to know about them now so that you can get yourself prepared for the work you're going to need to do next year. Oh well, I mean, these lasted. I built these in 2015, so that's 8 years. I suppose it's not too bad, bearing in mind they only got one coat of protective stain. Oh, yeah, don't think they'll do you? Let's say walk around, have a look at them. If there's too much weeds or stuff like that in the surface, get rid of those, and then move them down low. The other thing we're going to get to is the pots. I've got the best part of 60 pots in that pile over there. Yeah, should have got them washed in summer or certainly autumn, but what with tow and stuff like that, I just didn't get around to. In fact, let's not tell the porkies, I never get around to it. This year, I definitely want to have a look and see what's here. There's some decent pots here. Clean them and install them, hopefully, underneath my shelving system. You need to be very aware that these import pots that come from China, they are cheap as nails. The varnish or the glaze chips on them quite quickly. So if you do want to take care of those, these normally need to come out of the frost. And I certainly find that the Chinese Elm imports I got each year, normally 2 or 3 of the pots are cracked and broken. So these, I do want to try and look after them a bit, so I'll have to find somebody to look after them. Probably clean them, dry them and store them in a cardboard box. And then got my Dormant bug spray. This is a eco-friendly, enviro-friendly one. It's got no harsh chemicals, so it probably doesn't work. And all I'll do is, all the leaves are gone, so I'll just give it a complete spray, and that's the Dormant spray applied. And to be fair, I've used it for the last couple of years. Description's in the name of it's in the description, and it's been fine. So just another 700 trees to do with that. It's also a good time just to make sure you've got all the moss off these things. You need to get the moss off, clear all the debris, leaf matter, anything where horrible bugs can overwinter as well. You don't want them overwintering anywhere. If you want to look after your moss, get it. Certainly on KDB Bonsai. Have a look, it's the links in the description, but he takes all his moss off and puts it into his unused pots, lays it all out so that it's all growing fresh and ready for when he applies it next year. It's very organised, this Kennett. And again, surfaces, brush them down. You don't want frozen bird poo on there, so you want to clean that all off as well. Cobwebs. And as I say, this gives you a chance to have a look and see if it's solid. Just like that. The other area I'll be checking, and also knowing what's going to be repotted next year, need to check I've got all the sort of soil mixes that I'm going to need to get me safely through 2024. It's never ever enough, but I actually think this year, well, next year, I may actually be doing the least amount of repots ever. Does anyone believe that? So I've got all my different mixes and what's left from this year. And next year, as you probably guessed from some of the autumnal repots, I'm certainly going for a more inorganic mixes, the more traditional lava, pumice, zeolite, and big shipments arriving in a couple more weeks' time, hopefully, that Alex organised. So very excited about that. In the same vein, you also want to check and see how much fertilisers. I've got my fertilisers, chemical sprays, all the sort of things like that. Now is a great time to restock, or at least put your orders in so that you've got it ready, so you're not panicking when you hit spring and all you've got to do is deal with repots. That makes sense? And as I mentioned earlier, the last of the pond baskets I've got, 4 is certainly not going to be enough to deal with all those Marmay maples I'm transferring. So yeah, more money for that. And I suppose the only other thing that I tend to do, and I'm not sure if everyone else does it, I remove all the unused pellets, simply because this time of the year they're going into winter dormancy. All these things do is tend to rot, and I've just found year after year I end up scraping them off in the beginning of spring as a sludge. So I've now got to have getting an old plastic bag, collecting all the old ones and using them again the following year, because the plant definitely don't need these now. As you can see, The last of the trees are coming down. I'll be moving them to various parts of the garden which I feel are safe. Again, a few of them with wire that I did lately. I'll just check those. And if I think there's any vulnerabilities, if we have a particularly cold snap, they may actually go into the cold frame at different points through the winter. And that's why I always make sure there's some space near the front. So anything that's vulnerable, I tend to have nearer there so that I can actually pop it in if I really think it's going to be an Arctic polar vortex. You never get it, but it's always warned.
Through the blizzard, through the gale.
Yeah, it's the sad time when everything's going to sleep, and all I can think of is what I'm going to eat. Okay, just come indoors because we've got hit by a load of rain, but I think now would be a great time to have the last of our subscribers' corners VODs from 2023. So straight over to them, shall we? Well, that's absolutely fantastic, and again, thanks everyone for the contributions they've made through this year. The only thing left to do now is to update pages and pages of notes and files of photographs onto my Access Bonsai workflow management database. That's a mouthful, isn't it? But for those of you who've used it, I think you'll understand what I mean by just how functional and useful it is. And in fact, should we just skip back outside where I talked about it a little bit more? Absolutely magical. I can't say too much how happy I'm with how it works and how great it is. I've got loads of updating to do, so I'll have all my tasks and to-do list ready to print off next year. The link for the playlist for that's in the description. If you do want to have a copy, you know, I'm not charging anyone. It's voluntary donation. Just whack me an email, usual address. But apart from that, I'll say thanks very much for watching. If you liked it, big thumbs up. If you want to see more, then subscribe and bang bang, bang bang, ding ding, hit bell notification. But otherwise, well, I'll let you know what's planned for the winter off season in a future video. So all the best, happy bonsaiing, God bless. Cheers.